What's up, guys? This is Arth. We got the entirety of rank 2, all 4 bosses here for you today, but I do want to show you something quickly here first. I changed around a few of my buttons and talents, and one of the things I did is I created a macro. Now there's a lot of discussion out there about what's the best opening rotation, like what do you do in what order to get the best DPS. I'm not going to weigh in on that. There's a lot more out there for hunters to discover on there, but my concern is a lot of these fights are kind of short. You don't have too much time and you got to get a lot in. So I created a macro to cast as many things as possible all at once. There's Ancient Hysteria, Bestial Wrath, the Agility Potion that you can use inside the Brawler's Guild Arena. It casts Stampede, so there's a lot of different things. There's one or two other things in there as well. So basically anything that I can cast at the same time, I'm going to. Alright, here we go with the fights. You'll see me here, I'm buffing up with King's Drums, getting my food buff. This is all good stuff to do. There's nothing wrong with bringing these buffs in. A lot of times after you're done with your match, it wipes these buffs out, so you have to rebuff yourself before each fight, so pay attention to that. Now, some of these fights, I think, like this fight lasts about 20 seconds, if that. It's crazy short. And this penguin, Dippy, this boss, might even have a he might have an ability that he does, but I never got to see it. So, there's sites out there, Wowhead, WowWiki. If you're looking for tutorials on the bosses, they're going to explain it way better than I ever could. This is just my personal journey through these fights. So, I just kind of bursted him down, and there was nothing else to do. It was probably the easiest fight that I've had. So I think part of it, like hunters have, at least Beastmaster hunters have really good burst DPS. Their sustained DPS recently got a buff. It's doing a little bit better than it was at the beginning of Mists of Pandaria, but our burst DPS is really good, and that really helps in the Brawlers Guild. So like this boss, I was watching a video, or I was watching someone else fight this boss a little bit later on, a hunter actually, and they were in a different spec, they didn't have the same burst, and it was a lot harder for them because that boss has some abilities that that can really give you some trouble, but he was dead before he had a chance to cast them against me. So I think that's a benefit of the class right now, at least playing Beastmaster. I don't know what the burst is like in Survival and Marksman right now, but Beastmaster burst DPS is really good at the moment. So if you don't quite have that same burst DPS, my eye level's 481 I think right now. If you don't have the same burst DPS, you might have to deal with some of the mechanics, you might have to read some strats, and that's no big deal. These fights still aren't too hard. This fight here, this is the third fight in rank 2. This guy's a lot harder for melee classes because you see those bombs, those proximity mine looking things around him? Those do a big AoE explosion, and for like melee classes, tanks, other things, it hurts a lot, but we just get to stay at range, and our pet eats it, and our pets basically ignore AoE damage, so we don't have to worry about it. I actually didn't initially realize that there was 2 bosses. There's a littler one here that you have to kill as well. So there's 2 people you have to kill in this fight. The little one rides on the back of the big one. So I thought the fight was over for a second before I had to kill him. And he throws some stuff at you, so you want to keep moving. But just stay at range and let your pet eat those bombs and you're going to be okay. So I know I'm kind of going whirlwind through these bosses, but once we get into rank 3, rank 4, rank 5, the bosses get a lot harder in a hurry. So those ones we're going to spend more time on. These ones here might present a little bit of a challenge, but you know, you need to rethink your life a little bit if you get stuck on them for a long period of time. This boss here was the first where I actually had to employ some strategy. If you look at my pet's health, it was going down in a hurry despite having Cower and Men pet up. So I actually cast Readiness much earlier than I should have to maximize my DPS. But the reason I cast it was to get Cower off a cooldown so I could cast it back to back. Now, my pet still dies, as you see right there, but it bought me a few extra seconds of DPS where I didn't have to kite around. Because if the boss gets to you and hits you, then you're gonna die in a hurry, because it can like 3 or 4 shot your pet, and your pet has a lot better armor than you do, so you're actually gonna die a lot quicker. So really try to keep your pet alive. Really try to, you might ping pong a little bit. That's something you can do. You can go back and forth with your pet. You can cast like distracting shot or something like that. There's different strategies that you can use to stay alive, take some damage off your pet occasionally, and if you need to kite the boss, you certainly have some tools to do so there. But the important thing is to avoid having to kite as long as possible. So that's what I was trying to do there. Alright, well, that's the entirety of Rank 2. I know it was a quick tour through all the bosses, but it does get harder, and we will have more to talk about starting in Rank 3. So we'll see you then.